You are listening to the SDSU podcast presented by the East Village Times with your hosts Andre Hagverdian and Paul Garrison. Welcome back, everybody, to the SDSU podcast. I'm your host, Andre Hagverdian. We'll be joined shortly by my co-host, Paul Garrison. Today's episode is an interview with one of the newest Aztec transfers, Brandon McElroy, the defensive tackle, played at Marshall last year, played at Arizona State the year before, and started his football collegiate career at Glendale Community College in the LA area. Brandon's journey to San Diego State is a different one. He did not play football in high school, played only basketball at John Muir in Pasadena, then decided to switch to football, moved to the defensive line, played 2 years of junior college before making his moves to Division I at Arizona State and then Marshall and now San Diego State for his final season. It was really cool catching up with him. He's a likable guy. He's very articulate. He's obviously, been in college now. This is his sixth year. He could be a big piece of the puzzle for this defense because he is a guy that comes in weighing almost 300 pounds, as you'll hear him talking about. No one else on the defensive line comes close to that. So for the four-man front that they're moving to, he could definitely become a big piece to that. So let's get to his interview. We did record this interview about a week ago, before the semester started and before he officially made his way to school. So I was a little late in getting this episode out. So this was recorded over a week ago. And then Paul and I will be back at the end to give some of our takeaways. Let's get to it. We want to welcome one of the newest Aztec football players to the show, Brandon McElroy. How's your night going, man?
It's going good, man. Great.
So you made your transfer commitment official to San Diego State this week. Take us through your decision entering the portal. What teams are you talking to, and why San Diego State eventually?
Really, I entered the portal because I wanted a new opportunity. I loved everybody at my other schools. I learned a lot from them, but most importantly, I feel like picking San Diego. It's right next to home. I wanted to get back to my state. It's
Mm-hmm.
close to my city, and most importantly, Boj. To be honest, I would say, and the other coach, the coaching staff as well, like Sean and all them.
What was it specifically about Boj that stood out to you?
Well, me and Boj had like a connection, like going back to like I think when I think in JUCO, yeah, like once my season in JUCO. So we've been talking ever since. To be honest, I knew him since he was at UNLV. He really wanted me back then. Things happen. But I feel like the time is right.
Now, did you take a visit to San Diego State during this process, or was it all mostly virtual?
No, yeah, I took a visit. I didn't post it, but I loved it. You know, just the atmosphere and everything. I mean, like home is not really that far, so every time like I go to San Diego, I've been to San Diego a couple times, but just being over there, you can just tell the vibes is just different. Coming from Pasadena, it's right next to LA. I feel like San Diego is a part of LA County.
It's all
That's
part of the SoCal.
as a native San Diegan, that hurts me. But I've heard it before.
Yeah. No, but y'all got like y'all beaches. I'll say y'all beaches is better than ours for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, listen. I don't want to start anything with you and Andre as LA guys and all that kind of stuff, but I think we can name a long list of things that San Diego's gotten up on LA. Unfortunately, not the baseball team.
Yeah, we killing there.
No,
You
bro,
know,
it's like
I think
my
we'll
whole
take over
life.
the Padres any day.
Oh, like yeah, it's something else. Although I will say, I do think that Fernando Tatis is the most compelling player.
Yeah, I'll
That's
give you
why
that.
that's pretty much what we got. Um, uh, so when do you move to San Diego State? And will you be part of the group that's going to be here for winter conditioning?
I should be moving like by next week. You
Oh,
know,
let's go.
yeah. So I'm ready to compete. Bring whatever Sean Lewis has in mind. And just at least what Eric has on defense too. I can't
Mhm.
wait to see what kind of schemes they run. He's a Washington Husky guy, so we just seen him in the playoffs. So
Mhm.
you don't know what he got in store.
No, it's in. I think that I think you could, watching like that whole run, um, that D line for Washington and that D line for Michigan, like they were the best in the country, and that's I think why those teams were ultimately there. But tell us more about your game, man. What makes you special on the field?
Man, um I'll say run stopping, to be honest. I mean, I got better with my pass rushing. I spent a lot of time on it, but I feel like I'm a true like run stopper, and I feel like I can give you a little 1-2 move, something like that sometimes. But I feel like it'll be a good 1-2 with y'all DN Besser. Yeah.
Is there a defensive lineman that you kind of study or try to emulate their game and pattern your game after?
Man, I would say I'll give you like, oh man. I would say I'll give you top three. I would say Jalen Carter. You know, I feel like I love his atmosphere and everything when it comes to like just playing football violence, everything. Reggie White, you gotta study Reggie White. There's like no, you got to. And I would say there's a tie. So I would say Bruce Irving and Aaron Donald.
Okay. Reggie White, I mean, you can't go wrong with Reggie.
Yeah,
Good
That
answer.
stiff arm, I don't even know. I don't remember what you call it, but basically where with his right hand he would just throw the
Club
lineman to
them.
the ground. It
Yeah,
was ridiculous.
yeah,
yeah. I'll say that move is something that I really want to get to. But that's
Hmm.
that's a lot of natural power. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And you mentioned obviously Eric Schmidt is coming in. What have the staff told you about the defense they want to run and where you fit in? Are they looking at you as a defensive tackle? What have they told you?
Well, to me, I've heard that, it's gonna be a 4-2-5.
Mhm.
I'm fine with that. I feel like I'll be more of like playing the nose, playing the D tackle. I mean, I can move around a lot. So I feel like I can bring that to them as well.
And you've had like an interesting basketball journey. Basketball, that's gonna be the next question. An interesting football journey. Interesting football journey. What stops along the way have you had before coming to San Diego State?
What I had was, so coming out of junior college, I went to Arizona State. And then after that, I went to Marshall. Two great coaches I would say that I had. Rob. I got to give him a shout out.
Yeah.
Rob, and Coach Street. I feel like they helped me in two different aspects of my game. So yeah.
So then, like how would you describe, I guess, like your time there and um I guess in some regards, like you would maybe potentially still be there if it had been as successful as you had thought it would be. Um, and how has that kind of developed your passion for the game and just what you're planning to bring next year for the Aztecs?
Man, I would say my time there, like at Arizona, well, yeah, Arizona, I would say it was a great experience. Coming out of junior college, you don't really get as many chances. So,
Yeah, yeah,
when I got the call from him, that was a no-brainer. I had to, I wanted to see what he had in mind, what he can like teach me in the
mm,
sense of D-line play. And
yeah,
then I would say my other coach, Coach Street, not only did he teach me a lot more, you know, he taught me more technique, fundamentals, and everything. And I can never like you know I hope I can repay him in some way.
That's awesome, man. I think one of the things that San Diego has over LA is the college basketball team in the area is way
Yeah,
better than the LA basketball teams. You know what I mean?
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, UCLA's been, I don't know.
Oh, something else,
Right
man.
now, I've been watching. I think they losing by a lot by Utah right now.
Yeah, it's
They lost, I think, 90 to 46 or something like that.
Oh my God!
oh
Yeah,
And they was in the Final Four. I think what
two
last
years
2 years.
ago.
yeah, a few years ago.
Yeah,
Amazing how quick
yeah,
that has done that. But I mean, if we read your bio right, you were focused on basketball for most of your athletic career up until very late. Like what kind of you didn't play football in high school, right? John Muir,
nah. I was
high.
mostly like basketball.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like tell me about like what that whole process was like for you.
Man, so I would say that process for me, coming from, basketball and transitioning to football, I would say it's similar in a sense, when it comes to footwork and technique wise, when it comes to D-line play, I would say, there's, sometimes you got to cross over, that's what I would say. It was more of like footwork, but I would say it was really a no-brainer for me, to be honest, because I know I was very physical and everything. I
Mhm.
was mostly like in was it high school? I was mostly a power forward center. So, backing down, I was just doing all that, getting rebounds and all that. So I would say my game really can transition from that
Mhm.
to D-line as well.
Tell me more about your basketball game. How good were you?
Man, I would say I was the tallest, I would say. So I was like, I give you like 16 and like 11, you
Oh,
know, something like that.
yeah. No, no, I like it. I like it. I like it.
So we chatted about this a little bit when we were scheduling this. I went to Crescenta Valley High School.
Yeah,
Obviously 20 years, a little bit, um, long time before you. But CV and Muir are in the same league, and we're pretty big rivals. Uh,
yeah.
what do you have
Actually,
recollection of playing at CV?
I could sense the animosity. I
man.
was trying to figure out where that was from.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going on ever since, I would say that's been a game that's been marked always. Like even when I was in junior college, I had some teammates that came from Crescenta Valley, and we used to go at it all the time, in the locker room about who was
Really?
better, yeah. I would say, from football aspects, they would. I couldn't tell them nothing because I'm like, hey, I was mostly basketball, so I can't really tell y'all. But I know the rivalry is there always.
There's a walk-on the San Diego State basketball team, Ryan Rad, who played at Crescenta Valley, and now he's on San Diego State. So if you run across any basketball players, you may have some trash talking on there. But so when I was growing up, before I got to high school, there were two names of basketball players that played at Muir that were all over Los Angeles. Stacey Augman was
Hmm.
one who went to UNLV and then played in NBA, and Jacques Vaughn, who went to Kansas, played in the NBA, was a head coach in Orlando for a little bit. But I just remember I was a little bit older during Jacques Vaughn's days, and the buzz around LA of this guy, this point guard from Muir, that like this is before the internet, right? So like you had to actually read the
Yeah.
newspaper and buzz. Like the games when Muir played at CV, you couldn't get in the building that night because it was crazy. Are those two guys still talked about at Muir to this day? Like, do you guys, is that something that still comes up? Because to me, I remember those really well from back in the day.
Yeah, I would say it gets talked about a lot in the basketball aspect. Those guys are like really respected over there because I mean they did bring a lot to the LA area.
Yeah.
So I would say that, to be honest, it's talked about a lot over there. But yeah,
So how you played basketball? Why was it that did you play Pee Wee football and then you just decided not to play football in high school? How did that? come about?
Right.
I play so when it comes to Pee Wee, I mean, I try to, but I remember I went to like a like the little camp and everything, and I remember I was like the biggest, like tallest and everything. So they was like, "Hey, like you kind of too big for this league. You probably gonna have to go to another one."
Mm.
So really, I knew I was like, "Oh yeah." My mom already knew it was like it was something that it was I was destined for. When it comes to not football, but I would say about like sports in general, something I was gonna be good at.
So how did you go from graduating Muir and then going to Glendale Community College? Shout out Glendale, that's my hometown too. Um,
Yeah.
so how did you go from there to Glendale College playing football? Like what brought that on?
Well, what brought that on is, I mean, I wanted to try out for Amir's was it football,
Mm.
but I came in too late. Turkey tussle was happening and everything, so I was like, ah man, it sucked. So and then I was like, maybe I can, let me go to junior college. Everybody goes, the good ones go to junior college. Let's see what happens. So I placed all my bets on there. I went to yeah, GCC, and then they took me in and showed me a lot, and then I just developed.
That's it's interesting. It's interesting. Why the defensive line?
Defensive line, I would say it gives me like I just like the violence. I just
Mm.
like, going, putting somebody on the ground, going to get the quarterback. I would say I was always like that. I can't really. To me, O line is just, I don't touch that. I don't like
Okay,
O
no, see, that was what
line.
I was wondering because I mean I know coaches see basketball feet and they think tackle or maybe a pulling guard and they go let's go because those guys don't exist and
Yeah.
so did was there ever that attempt to say hey man let's see you on this side of the ball?
Well, when it comes to that, I mean, I had some extensive like tight end. I would say I
Okay,
was trying to be
there
a
you go.
tight end, but I
Yeah,
was like a blocking tight end, but I was
right.
like, nah, let me go on defense. Like I feel like this offense thing is not really for me. I want to go hit somebody.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Here you are. So what weight were you coming out of high school? And what did you have to do to get to play D line? Like what were your kind of those weight things?
Man, I would say coming out of high school, I was skinny. I was like, I think 240, 230. To me, for my size and everything,
I was gonna say,
I was
bro,
like
I got on the
lengthy.
scale today and I was 230
Yeah.
and 240, and I wouldn't have called that skinny, but thank you. Thank you. I like the way that sounds.
I would
There's a
say to
height,
I
me,
there's
will
a
it's
take it,
height.
but I'm
yeah.
5'10".
Yeah, see, so it's different. That's what I would say.
A little different, a little
But
different.
um I would say, yeah, after, when COVID happened and everything, I started eating and I got up to like 280, 285 range. No, actually no. I got up to the 240, 250. I mean 340, 350, excuse me. But yeah, I gained a lot of weight.
Mm.
And then I was playing at, I think in junior college, I was playing at 350. Yeah, 350 at the time.
Okay, what are you now?
Right now, I am 295.
Oh, let's go, man.
Yeah.
That sounds like those feet are back. That's great.
Yeah. I'm already feeling good. I feel like I can go up, dunk again, all that.
Oh, well, listen, I know you didn't post anything from your visit, but the next time you dunk, man, you got to get that out.
Yeah, I got you. I got you for sure.
There's just from us talking to so many of the football players over the last couple of years, there's some good pickup basketball games that go on, but from the football team. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll get some of that as you come in. And also, one of the things, the defense used to play a 3-3-5, three-man
Yeah.
front. And so they didn't really have big defensive linemen. So like just you at 295, I think is the biggest in weight defensive lineman in the roster now. So that's definitely something I think that they're with some of the guys they've been recruiting. I think they're trying to get a little bigger, at least at the nose tackle spot. So that's a positive for you there.
Yeah.
To finish this off, we have some rapid fire non-football related questions, some fun
All right,
stuff. You
let's
ready for
go.
these? All right.
Yeah, let's go. I'm ready.
What's your favorite food?
Pasta.
Pasta's a popular answer. What kind of
Very
pasta?
popular.
Chicken Alfredo. I love me some chicken Alfredo. Chicken Alfredo is the best, I would
And who
say.
makes it? Who makes it? Where does it come from?
I would say my mom.
Oh, see,
Good
that's
answer.
fun. Listen,
Favorite.
if that was my answer, I would definitely be moving close enough to be able to get some chicken Alfredo, more frequently.
Yeah.
Favorite movie or TV show?
Oh, BoJack Horseman. BoJack Horseman.
Oh, all right, nice.
I don't know
Yeah,
that one. What's that one about?
it's on Netflix. You ain't never seen it?
No.
It's an animated show, but it's like
Oh,
it's not for kids.
got it.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
recommend it for your child or nothing.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That's a good save. That's a good save. I
Yeah,
feel horrible. I mean, like, let's sit down and.
no, not for your children.
Nah.
But it's a good one. Favorite musical artist? We see the shirt you're wearing, so I don't know if that's gonna have any effect
Yeah.
on your answer.
Um. Nah, no, I gotta say Kanye West.
Kanye
Kanye
West.
West.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Old Kanye West right now. Yeah.
do you embrace all Kanye West, or do you divide it pre-Kardashian and post-Kardashian?
I divide it. You gotta divide it.
Yeah, don't we
Yeah,
all?
that
Yeah.
I feel like everybody I feel like when you pick Kanye West, it's either you divide it or you gotta have all of it. There's no in between.
Right, right. Absolutely.
Favorite professional athlete? I know you named some defensive linemen you try to study, but just all athletes. Is it you have a favorite?
Ooh, damn. Brett Favre.
Brett Favre?
Yeah,
Are you a
I would
Packers
say Brett
fan?
Favre. Yeah, I'm a Packers fan. That's why. Yeah, first game was Packers versus Giants. I think '07.
Mm.
Yeah, that's why I knew
How,
I was
how,
a fan for sure.
how does somebody from Pasadena become a Packers fan?
I mean, it comes on. So the games come on Fox most of the time. So you really
Right.
see a
Yeah.
lot of Packer
Especially in the
games.
Favre days.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Well, you also have to figure same reason why I'm a Bucks fan is like there was no team in LA for a while.
yeah,
So
Ah,
LA
that's
kids
true.
had to branch out and find another team, right? Unless you wanted to follow the Raiders or the Rams to wherever else they went. So um
yeah,
Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense. You guys were you,
uh,
you all were free agents.
you're free agents. What so Packers play the Cowboys this weekend. What are your thoughts
yeah.
on that game?
We don't have Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I watched the last two meetings. Jared Cook on the sidelines. Dez Bryant. Infamous catch. I feel like with Jordan Love, it's going to happen. I think it's going to work. I think we can get the win.
All right. Favorite hobby when you're not playing football, what do you like to do?
Hiking. Hiking's one of
Hiking.
them. Yeah, nature. I love the nature for sure.
There's a lot of good hiking trails here in San Diego. I think you'll definitely
Yeah, it's a
enjoy that.
lot. I love them.
Yeah. Um, Last one, I believe what like are you working on a master's degree while you're going to be at San Diego State? What is it? What's the deal with that?
Yeah, master's degree. That's
In
that's
what?
one thing for. And right now, I'll say psychology.
Okay.
Yeah, psychology right now.
Awesome.
I was thinking a little business. I do want to get in the business side of it sometimes, or a little real estate, something like that too.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Awesome. Brandon, thank you so much for taking the time. We enjoyed catching up with you. We look forward to seeing you out in spring camp. Paul and I try to make it out to some practices, so hopefully we'll see you there and look forward to your year at San Diego State.
All right, can't wait to see y'all. Thank
All
you,
All
right.
right.
thank you for
Have a good
having me.
night.
Good night.
You too.
All right, Paul. That was Brandon McElroy, defensive lineman, one of the newest Aztecs. I don't know about you, but I thought back to a guy we spoke to last year around this time, Kenneth Giles.
Hmm.
Didn't play high school football until he was a senior in high school, only played 10 snaps. He was a basketball player. The football coach saw him in high school and told him, hey, you need to come play football. He played 10 snaps, and I think he was like ineligible because of some class issues and then went to junior college. So they're very similar arc stories. But McElroy comes to San Diego State with 2 years of Division I experience. He didn't play at ASU, but he played at Marshall, whereas Kenneth Giles came straight from JUCO. So I see a lot of parallels there, but I think maybe Brandon is a little bit ahead of where Kenneth Giles was. And obviously it's his final year, so he's coming here to play. He's not coming here to redshirt or sit or anything like that. What'd you think?
Well, I mean, I think that the part that's really interesting to me, and I thought that you hit it really good in the article that you wrote, um, lots of people have seen great potential in Brandon McElroy. Whether it's the opposing coaches at the ramp being nervous about having to see him, to I'm going to UNLV with Boj, and then I'm going to decommit because I'm going to go see what's up with Arizona State. Then I'm going to go to Marshall, and now back with Boj, San Diego State again. So there's a lot of people who I think have seen that he can bring something that is really positive to the game. And so I think that's the biggest thing that jumped out. I personally am still a believer that generally speaking, guys who are this old are and who may not be as talented as maybe some 4-star recruits or something like that can make a bigger 1-year impact than a true freshman coming in. And so as we just talked about, I mean, and you look into the roster and you just don't see a lot of space eating defensive linemen. And who knows what the weight gains for, some of the other players that are on there and what could possibly happen. But if you're looking at Tupu Alualu and Brandon McElroy as your starting two interior guys, with Darian Dalton and Wyatt Drager behind them, I think that could be a pretty solid 4, especially considering, they didn't. This is not the defense they intended to play, right? So they're having to get people to fit their system. Only 6 weeks, into this entire tenure. So I think it's what you want. It's if San Diego State is going to be able to be good quickly on defense and they're going to be able to change, they're going to need McElroy to play well. I just don't see another way where he could not be really good and kind of linger on the depth chart, etc. And then be able to play what that defense is designed to do. So big responsibility, but obviously, as you said, this is the year.
Yeah, I think the weight, like going from a skinny, as he called it, 240 playing basketball to 350 after COVID playing defensive tackle to now potentially being 295 to the 310, which is what he was listed at last year. He's, as you said, he's still the biggest guy on the defense in weight without knowing what weight gains some of the other guys have made. Cody Cornelius, who's a freshman that won't be coming in until the fall or summer, he's 290. He's the next biggest guy. But as you said, a true freshman probably is not going to make his way, especially someone that didn't enroll early. But yeah, they're gonna have to rely on him, and I think Eric Schmidt. He appealed to them, outside of the Boj connection that they already formed, 3 years ago. Eric Schmidt probably liked what he saw with Brandon size wise and what he can do, clogging up double teams, letting linebackers behind him come in and flow and have open gaps to shoot through and not have offensive linemen coming at them at their second level. So they're probably going to need at least another guy in that sense, with that size, because you need depth, you need competition. You're not going to just hand a starting role over to one guy just because he weighs the most. But Brandon definitely has, based on where he's been the last 2 years and who's liked him, as you said, I think he's got a pretty good shot there.
Yeah, and I just think that there's a maturity thing. I thought that was very evident in talking with Brandon. I loved when you asked him, describe your game. And he doesn't talk about being like Warren Sapp and being like that size and being able to get to the quarterback. He's comfortable with who he is and what makes him valuable on the football field. And then again, I think it's something that separates, older guys, typically speaking, that they get why they have a scholarship. And he has a scholarship to, you know, probably not impact the game very much on the stat sheet, but somebody, I think, as you quoted his coach from junior college, somebody that the linebackers are going to love playing behind because they're going to be clean. And of course, if you get rid of one linebacker, um, you better keep offensive linemen from going to that next level, right? Or that's going to be the trouble. And obviously, I think we saw in the national title game, that was part of the trouble that Washington had against Michigan, is just not being able to be good enough up front to stop the run. And then, of course, I think he's to me, he just reminds me of so many of the same junior college stories that we've heard. So Giles is a great connection, although as you point out, he's a lot younger. But I'm thinking of Joseph Hall, who's no longer on the team, still chasing that dream. But just these people who figure out a way to kind of go the unconventional path, to not to just keep finding ways to try to get on the field and keep trying to go after this football dream. And I think it's challenging, not to just, you want to root for a kid like this. I mean, this is, you're hoping that he can be that for San Diego State, but also just for himself, that after all of these things of, being a basketball player, and then, no, I'm not going to be a basketball player, then COVID hits and all of that, and how that just changes everything. To then, Arizona State, Marshall, and now San Diego State. It'd just be a great story. And obviously we had a great time talking to him.
Yeah, it's like COVID. If you're in college right now, if you're a college athlete right now, you were at some level impacted by COVID. Whether you were a freshman in college and were impacted, or you were still in high school, everyone we talk to still has some sort of a story from being impacted by COVID. And then pretty soon, hopefully, in the next year or two, we'll be through that, where most of the people coming into college weren't impacted by that. But, that still shows all the impact that COVID had on so many on high school and collegiate athletes across the country, across the world. But, we're really talking about, high school football here.
Absolutely. And before getting out of here with about Brandon McElroy, Garrett Fountain made his announcement, or popped up on the roster.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about where he fits and the significance of him being in Aston?
Well, he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but I think his biggest asset to this team is his leadership and experience. Because he's played so many years, played so many snaps. He was a captain last year. And this team, without him, there were so many young folks, young players with limited experience, limited snaps, limited leadership. That there would have been a huge void without him coming back. But with him there, I think he can help, because he's going to be learning a new defense too, a new position technically, as a defensive end in a 4-man front versus a 3-man front. But at least he has the experience and the qualities that you want to help people, not only as he's learning it, but to help everybody else around him as well. So I think it's something they really needed. I think I expected it, but until you knew for certain, it was always a question mark out there. But definitely, I think it's a good thing for San Diego State to have him in the fold for one more year.
No, absolutely. And I think one of the interesting parts about just the pride that I think a lot of these San Diego State players play with, and the way that the especially under Brady Hoke, I think that playing with a chip on your shoulder, was blue collar, was just part of that identity. And I was curious if the sting of how bad San Diego State was last year and how uncharacteristic, and they broke the bowl streak and all of that, if that would play any role in this year, or if they were able, and even if it was better, to just kind of, wash it clean. But I remember after that Air Force game, and, sitting in a little, I don't even know what it was, the visitors interviews are always a little bit sketchy when you go on the road, no matter what, right? Like we did the pit. this last week, and it was just in some tunnel outside of their locker room. But anyway, it was Keenan Christian and it was Garrett Fountain, and both of them just were stand-up people, and asking them about their message to everyone else about what they can do. How can the seniors keep the after such a bad performance against Air Force? And they said we just got to look ourselves in the mirror. It's not about what other people need to do. It's about what we need to do. And just seeing that both of those guys are back, both of those team captains are back. As you said, I do think, especially as they're starting up the winter conditioning, just being able to be old guys who, again, I think are going to be a lot better than young guys just by virtue of age, just by virtue of their bodies maturing, especially up front for Garrett Fountain. But just everything that they're going to bring in terms of leadership, I think is fantastic. And, I think it's a credit to Sean Lewis that he was able to get those guys back.
Yeah, I totally agree there. That's going to do it for us. Hopefully you guys enjoyed getting to know Brandon a little bit. Winter conditioning is off and running. Spring practice will start second week of March, or it's March 12th. So maybe bloods into the third week, but definitely looking forward to that. Thanks always for listening, and the subscriptions and follows and likes and shares. We appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys next time. You are listening to the SDSU podcast presented by the East Village Times with your hosts Andre Hagverdian and Paul Garrison.